Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Shamrock Valley and welcome back to the Wheel of Rules, where it's time for me to find out what new hell is going to descend on me. I am not at all terrified. So let's spin the wheel, and the new rule is... animals must be sorted before... oh god, no! Oh. That new rule means before I can do any field work on any given day, I've got to have the animals at 100%. If you guys make me buy cows or pigs, I might not actually be able to do anything. Well, if I physically can't get them to 100%, I'm guessing the rule kind of is just like, yeah, I can sort them to a certain point, but then I kind of fail. So I'm guessing the rule only applies to, like, get them as sorted as I can, but they have to be fed and watered before I can work now. Which is fun. God dang it, Wheel of Rules. Oh, get you guys in game. Alright, we're in game, and Farm Sim's been a bit weird with me lately, so you might see quite a lot of lag at times. That is, for some reason, the shader's regenerating for the umpteenth time this week. I have no idea why they're doing this, but the shaders keep deleting themselves. And occasionally the game crashes, because I don't know why. Yeah, but that new rule... I'm really lucky because I want to do some silage today. I want to get some mowing done. And luckily the sheep are already at 100%. Our 4 sheep. Health is at 77. I've heard that there's a glitch where if you sell and buy one of the sheep, it will regenerate or kind of reset the value to 100%. I'm not going to use that glitch just because it's glitchy and cheaty. But what we are going to do is we're going to find where I've put the ford, because that has more. So it should be actually right beside the field here, shouldn't it? It was. Ford, where did you go? Where is the ford? There. Oh, I swapped you to having the tether. Okay. So apologies in advance for any weird... I haven't set up my wheel properly yet, so just bear with 1 second while I do this, because I don't want to have like a million takes again. There we go. I forgot to set my wheel sensitivity. So just apologies for any weird frame rate stutters that happen, like what's going on right now. That's, for some reason, I don't have any idea why, my shader cache deleted itself. So the game's having to regenerate all of the shaders in the world. And that's kind of an inconvenience. For somewhat obvious reasons. Do you know what I never did that I maybe should do is I don't think I picked up the hay bales. I didn't pick up the hay bales. Should I pick up the hay bales before I mow? Well, no, because I'll need extra hay anyway, and I'll actually need extra silage, so with it being the final day of late spring, and granted quite early in the morning, but still the final day of late spring, it's probably a good idea if I go and mow the fields. We've already gone through most of the fuel tank on this, and we've already got nearly 6 work hours on it, so that's good. There's a few rules where people are saying 20 work hours, I have to sell tractors 20 work hours before I can sell tractors, and I'm not entirely sure what to do with them. There have been a couple of rules that I've just straight up said no to. I haven't put it into the comments section of yesterday's video yet, but somebody said no doing sugar beets. I'm going to veto that suggestion simply because I want to do root crops, and potatoes are pain and suffering. How do you get to field 5 again? I can't quite remember. I think there's a way in over here. There's the sheep with their 2 litres of wool that's for some reason in a giant bag on a pallet. Because Farm Sim logic. I think the entrance to field 5 is over. Oh yeah, there it is. So I'm gonna mow this for probably hay, possibly silage. Somebody else had suggested that I buy a field every Monday, which would basically mean that I'd have no money within like 2 weeks. Because the fields here, if I go over to field 4's sell point real quick, the fields are not cheap. And I'm kind of abandoning some rules temporarily. Like 40,000, I've got 47. So just to buy field 4, I'd be broke. And then I'd have to buy more animals. Like 4 days later. Which, yeah, no, that's... You remember how in the last video I said, yeah, I'm gonna veto some rules if they are just impossible or make the game so that I have to do things a very specific way? Yeah, that's one of the first to get... There's 2 that have been vetoed for that reason. The no sugar beets rule, because potatoes are the worst, and the having to buy fields on a Monday rule, because that would basically eat all of the money that I'd have in game very, very quickly. Also, I haven't done it yet, and I might not do it at all, but I'm honestly, at this point, I'm probably not going to do it. You can see it's 9:30 already. Apologies for not having a video on the fact sheets yesterday, or streaming yesterday. I woke up at 5 o'clock, and I was extremely angry at myself. Still am as I'm recording this, but I've calmed down quite a lot. But yeah, that's why there was no video on the fact sheets. I just wasn't awake. No stream because I wasn't awake, and I wasn't awake enough, and I was so angry that I just didn't want to get out of bed, and that happens sometimes. Also today, a quick little bit of housekeeping here real quick. There might not be a stream today either. And that's not out of laziness for once. It's because right now, as I'm recording this, the plan is to go karting today, and I don't know if I'll be physically able to stream after it, because the go-karts are quite demanding. And more, kind of almost as importantly, I don't know if I'll even be back in time to stream. So that's just a small bit of housekeeping, that if there's no stream today, it's because I am most likely awake, but most likely not, AFK. Or just not physically able. Do you know there have been people who've been saying these mowers are too small for this tractor, and the mowers look silly on the tractor, but hey, look, it's struggling to get up a small hill. And I've got the pedal fully down. I can't really tell that because I'm wearing new slippers, but I've got it fully down. And very little happening, so I may swap this onto the John Deere. That may be something that is worth considering. And a quick word as well about the equipment that I'm going to be using on this map, because some people are gonna insist that I use like a big M. No, that's not gonna happen. The equipment I'm using on this map, for the most part, is stuff that I would see in real life, or stuff that I would expect to see on like a farm of this size, or in fields of this size. And while, yeah, you might see a big M420 or 450 in a field this size, you definitely would never see a big M500. The only big M that I would consider good enough to be using myself, the only one that really meets what I would consider my standards, is the big M500, as too big for this map, so that kind of is the beginning and end of the big M discussion, because somebody has brought it up during a stream, and you guys can use it all you want. I will not. I'm even kind of apprehensive about using butterfly mowers on this map. Mainly because I don't know if a tractor will be able to pull them. But there is room for me to increase the size of the mower. Quite significantly, actually. from what I've got now. So fear not, I do have plans in place. There was a rule suggestion that I used, crop destruction, and I forgot. I meant to check and I forgot. I think I've already got it active on this save. So like rules that I'm already doing, I'm just going to kind of ignore rule suggestions of stuff that I'm already doing and don't really plan on changing. They're gonna get ignored until I change them or change how I'm playing, and then I'll put them into the list. So yes, I am being a bit picky at times with the suggestions you guys put in. I don't quite put everything in because some of the stuff you guys suggest just isn't practical for playing the map. I mean, doing potatoes sounds practical, but then you realize the only potato harvester that's really worth a damn is lagging the game out. There we go. The only potato harvester that's really worth a damn is the Grimitectron, which is huge. Whereas with beets, I could go with the Grimmer-Rootster. You know, this kind of stuff. And it wouldn't be too insane. It'd be stuff that, you know, stuff that is at least usable. So while sugar beets aren't grown in Ireland anymore, they haven't been for just over a decade now, I believe, if memory serves. That's kind of off the top of my head. It might be a bit longer. Fodder beets are still grown, so no sugar beets is kind of a silly rule because people do still grow beets. It's just they're not specifically sugar beets. And I'll count the sugar beets as just being fodder beets or something like that, and maybe having some as sugar beets. But there is a rule that somebody suggested that all the beets for the pigs, which would be fodder beets, have to be palletized, and I'm planning on doing that anyway, but I put it into the list of rules just so that it's locked in if it comes up. And you guys saw at the beginning of the episode that wheel is getting quite full of suggestions from you guys, but keep them coming. If the wheel ever gets full, what I'll do is I'll start a Google Doc where whenever a rule gets selected and therefore deleted, I'll just put whatever rules on top of the Google Doc in. Also, could you guys shout at me in the comments to actually give you guys the link to the rules, because I've been meaning to and I keep forgetting. Because I think there's a few people who might want to play along with this and deal with the fresh hell that is the wheel of rules every day. It is by far the worst part of my day, by the way, because like I go through the comments, which I like. I like seeing what you guys think, and you guys you know, giving your thoughts on videos and whatever. Why is the desktop audio not working? I've just noticed you guys have no sound. Why is this a thing? Speakers... that? There you go. So apologies for the lack of in-game sound for the first, what, 12 minutes of the video. It wasn't working for some reason. That was definitely a first. I never had that happen. That means that... oh, there was a Windows update, wasn't there? That means I've got to go through all my settings for all of my things and make sure that they've actually got the right bloody microphone selected. I hate that. I hate doing that. Because every time Windows updates, I've got to do it, and I forgot to do it today. And apparently it's changed my desktop audio source, which is good. But the plan on this map is to try and get all the animals. I will do my best, so next Friday I won't just buy more sheep, even though it'll be tempting. Next Friday I'm going to try and buy maybe some pigs, because I can get them up nearish 100%, using big bags or pallets. And I am striving to use big bags or pallets as well. I see a lot of you guys suggesting that I don't use the infinite sources. I always try not to, but if I'm running low and there's only a small bit that I need to do, I'll just pop the infinite source on and use that. I've seen a few people suggesting that I only do organic, which right now is kind of impossible to do. Because I've got like no animals and they take time to produce manure and slurry, and this is why I'm going for pigs next Friday. Because they take time to produce that stuff, organic farming is actually impossible right now. I think there's a rule in the list, in the wheel, that I do organic. And if that comes up, I have a plan to deal with it, but it's maybe going to annoy some people. But I do have a plan in mind for it. It's something that I'm planning on doing later on this series anyway, but if I need to push it forward because it's what popped up, I'll push it forward because it's what popped up. I just hope that it doesn't happen after the no money cheat rule comes in, because I would need the money cheat to do what I want. Is it this button that I've bound one of these buttons up? Ah, there it is. I bound one of the buttons up on the wheel to lift everything, and I forgot which one it was. So, we're going to be making... I want to say hay here. I want to make some more hay. I think we've got a decent amount of silage. We could do with more... Would I be better off making silage? I think I'd be better off making silage, wouldn't I? Because I can make hay then over the summer and during the autumn and try and balance them out. So yeah, I think this field might well actually just be silage. But you guys are the rules that have been selected so far, making sure that I kind of do a bit of everything. And that I'm slowly but surely being boxed in with ways what I can cheat. Because I did see a few suggestions of, you know, having to transport the animals. There was one saying I had to transport them and bought, one saying I had to transport them and sold. I just bunched the two of them together. One saying that I had to move the lawnmower around in the trailer only, and that one I put into the list. One thing, I couldn't use the lawnmower on camera at all, which... no. That got a hard no from me, because I'm not buying equipment that I just can't use. And I've got some little ideas for stuff that I can do with the lawnmower moving forwards into the summer and the autumn time, so... some kind of filler episodes, potentially, of the series. Where rules will come in, but maybe not have an effect straight away. But the rules will pile up nonetheless. But the way this series works, it's kind of discouraging me from doing filler episodes where I just do like, I'm going to do some lawn care, I'm going to do some forestry, because a rule's going to come in regardless. And it's going to hurt me long term if I do, we'll say, a lawn care episode, a forestry episode, and then a yard work episode. All in a row, because then there'll be 3 new rules that will suddenly bite the next time I try and do field work, or the next time I try and buy animals, or the next time I try and do whatever. Those rules will suddenly bite, and I've got to try and get the crop out of the ground as quickly as I can, because, I mean, we're still in late spring, we're on episode 5 now. I want to say we're making decent progress, we're making reasonably solid progress through seasons. I just want to get as much together as I can in terms of silage and hay, so that when we do start getting the animal rules really kicking in and biting me, that's when I'll be kind of pre-prepared for that. So I am with seasons, you got to think ahead, and that's something I always say. It makes you think about how you play the game, and with this rule set, you got to think ahead for things that you don't even plan on. Like, yes, I do plan on getting all the animals in the map as the game janks up, presumably because of autosave. Please don't crash, please don't crash, thank you. But at the same time, I have no way of telling what rules are going to come in and when. So there might be a rule in, like the animal rule, where I got to buy X number of animals, or I can only sell animals that have been bred, which is in the list. Which would be painful with the, well, easy with the pigs, because I happen to know that once you get, I think it's 25 or 50 pigs, they basically become profitable. Because they generate 50 or so over the course of the year, and I can sell them off in the springtime when they are worth the most money. You'll notice, by the way, that I've only ever said I'll sell grain during the winter, because I know animals are actually worth a bit more during the spring. Cows, I don't think I'd sell them at all, because they produce milk, and the more cows, the better. The same with the sheep. Yeah, they take a bit more food to deal with as the numbers increase, but I kind of feel like the benefit of having more outweighs the problems of having to give them more food, and I can just buy a couple more grass fields if needs be, and a forage wagon for the sheep, so I'm not too overly concerned with having, like, you know, 150 sheep or something, or even 150 cows. Yes, it would be a pain to feed them all, and I probably would try and cap it out at 100, but I could probably manage 150 with the fields on this map. And the pigs, I could just buy food forever, although there are a few rules in the wheel that say I can't do that, so it's going to be very interesting. Of course, if a rule makes tending to animals impossible, it will just be ignored until that's no longer the case, and I will endeavour to have those rules ignored for as short a time as possible. So we'll say not buying pig feed, if that came in today, I would have to ignore the rule if I were buying pigs, because I have no way of feeding them. And actually, even the next round of seasons, I'd have to ignore that rule, because I've only got barley planted because I want to gather straw. It will be the round after next, so once you get round to spring again, that's when I'd be saying, okay, we've got some pigs, I need to try and deal with that. So I'd planned, what do the pigs need? Pigs. Barley, we'd have straw, we'd have to plant some corn, we need corn, we'd need canola, we'd need wheat or barley, which we'd probably have, and we'd need potatoes or sugar beets, which I'd probably plant sugar beets just because they're a bit easier to deal with. Potatoes just being a pain in the rear end, unfortunately. Although with the fact sheets that came out yesterday, the new potato harvester for FS19 looks really nice. The kind of mid-sized one that's... yeah, I like that. I am very happy with that. A lot of the stuff that came out yesterday I was kind of expecting. You know, there wasn't a huge surprise for me. The bigger Vaderstad stuff, or Vaderstad, whatever way you want to pronounce it, that's very interesting. The smaller potato harvester, smaller self-propelled potato harvester, that's interesting. But honestly, nothing there was a surprise to me. Which isn't a negative thing. Like, it's great the Giants are showing off stuff that, you know, okay, that should have been obvious, that should have been obvious, that was obvious, that was to be expected. Well, is that not just filling in the gaps that you would expect to be filled in the game? That's the way that I'm looking at the stuff that I'm saying, oh, very few surprises. Well, it was either stuff that was either previously announced, or I kind of expected just as a kind of a gap filler, or something that was already in the game from FS17 or 15, moving back even farther. So that's always going to be the case with announcements for FS19, is some of the stuff is going to be mind-blowing and great, like the potato harvester. Some of the stuff is just going to be like, oh, well, yeah, I expected that, because not everything's going to be new. They've got to bring stuff up from the previous games too. They've got to keep... There's the train. As the shader gets angry with the train. You know, they've got to keep some continuity in between the games as well as bringing in a buttload of new stuff. And as I was saying to Landy last night, Farm Sim doesn't have AAA graphics right now. It doesn't look like a Call of Duty or any games of the from like EA, Ubisoft, those kind of developers or publishers. But if you think about it, it's got AAA sales. It outsold a Call of Duty game. That's no small feat. And you look at FS19 compared to FS17, and they're moving in the right direction. They're definitely going towards AAA graphics. With PBR coming in, which is a really, really good method to just improve how things look. I know it sounds like just 3 random letters, but trust me, to somebody who understands games and various rendering methods that could be used, that is a huge step forward from the current method. PBR is in fact something that surprised me because I didn't think Giants would go that advanced. It's like PBR, for those of you that don't know, physically based rendering, is basically you assign different materials. You can see that the janking's happening because of shaders. You assign different materials different physical properties. So plastic, you look at a piece of plastic, well, what kind of plastic is it? That'd have to be defined by your PBR engine or whatever it's called. I don't know what the PBR render method actually is, but you assign, we'll say, just the material in here. We'll have a look at some of the materials in here. You've got on top of the board here, that cap is made of plastic. It is very hard plastic, but it's plastic. It's going to be kind of medium shininess. If it's a bit roughed up, yeah, it'll be less shiny. But then you've got the wheels, which are made of rubber. They're not going to be very shiny at all, are they? Have you ever seen a shiny tire? No. So that's not going to be shiny at all. You've got the bonnet, which is made of, I think, metal. I want to say it's made of steel, which would be shiny except it's been painted. And in this case it's rusty, so it wouldn't be very shiny at all. But then you go over to the Joskin. This is made of stainless steel. Or something to that effect. So this would be super shiny in real life. Except for the fact it's probably brushed stainless steel. Or brushed aluminium. As more and more places are going to. Even the new iPhone is using literal rocket grade parts. The aluminium being used in the new iPhones, for a fun little fact, is the same aluminium that SpaceX used to build the Falcon 9. The exact same grade, so there you go. What else would be in here that would be an interesting material to look at? Even these would be kind of, all of this would be different shapes and, well, not shapes, all different reflectivities, and kind of have different physical properties that you'd be able to see. And that's like, it's a small detail when you think about, oh, well, things look slightly different, but when you really think about it, it's like things will look slightly different, but the way that the light reacts with them, and you've seen it in the trailers so far, where even the beacons, because they're the material set inside there is so reflective, because it's supposed to be. That's the entire intention. It's hyper shiny aluminium usually. It plays with the light, and the light can hit it just the right way and set off the beacon, or make it look like the beacon's been set off and it flashes. That's the kind of stuff that PBR will do. The only real shame for me is that it won't be used for buildings all that much, from what I've been hearing. So. Understandably, because different materials are made of, or different buildings are made of completely different materials, and it'd be almost impossible to get all the different colours and kind of effects that would be required. The reason that it's used in vehicles so much, and it's actually very commonly used in vehicle simulations, X-Plane, the flight sim uses it for their planes and tarmac and stuff, because it's all going to be one colour and one set kind of texture. You can set colors underneath it, but the main thing is the material No, you might be able to. No, because then you'd have the problem with the. Yeah, I don't know how FS19 would work that for buildings, or how it would work for buildings at all, or if it would work for buildings at all. Bullet Bill reckons no. I reckon yes, but it would have to be done in a very specific way. It'd be very convoluted and complicated, but I think it would be doable. But before I go too far into this weird tangent of PBR and how it could work for literally everything, because I'm really a big fan of PBR. Windrower, your wheels defying... Both of your wheels are defying physics. Thank you for that. I'm going to leave the video here. Hopefully in the next video we'll be doing something other than windrowing. I hope to have a stream out for you guys tomorrow. But if not, we will be windrowing and dealing with the silage down there. I also need to deal with the bales over in field 7. You can see the John Deere sat in front of a stack of bales over there. And we'll be dealing with that as well. But until then, until next time, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll leave you by saying, I've been RainbowDave, you've been watching Farming Simulator 17, the crowdsourced challenge on Shamrock Valley. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button. Don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.